Hello everyone, my name is Ian and you're watching Big Rock Moto. Thank you so much for tuning in today. So today I have something very different for you and I think you're going to enjoy it. So I am here in Anza, California, in the high desert of Southern California, and today I'm going to try, or at least attempt to learn how to ride trials motorcycles. So why the heck am I out here doing this crazy thing? Well, the reason is that my resolution in 2023 is to become a better motorcyclist in all aspects of motorcycling, and I just feel that as a rider I haven't been exposed enough to the dirt biking side of things with motocross and trials riding, or sport bikes and riding on tracks and things like that. So I'm starting with this trials class and I'm going to take a motocross class, and of course I'm going to the California Superbike School in April and learning how to ride 200 horsepower bikes on a track, which, since I've never ridden on a track before, it doesn't make me nervous at all. That's fine, no problem. So I think you're going to enjoy the video today as we learn to ride these trials bikes, see what it's all about, and see how we can apply the lessons learned from slow speed trials riding to adventure and dual sport riding. So we're getting ready to start our training here. I just want to introduce our instructor. This is Andre. Andre, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, Andre LaPlante from MotoVentures.
So we're going to have all day today to talk about bikes and talk about this facility, but yeah, I just want to get us started. And so what's going to be our first thing today, Andre?
First thing today is counterbalance turns, low speed riding, you know, how to counterbalance and not lose your balance. And then we're actually going to get into wheelies, nose wheelies, and some bunny hops.
I don't know how I feel about that. We'll see if I don't break a leg here.
But I think we're good with Andre as our instructor, so...
Yeah, we'll take care of you.
Yeah. And then, Brandon, so you're an adventure bike guy. What made you kind of choose to come out and want to get trials training? Have you ever ridden a trials bike?
Never ridden a trials bike. Been riding adventure bikes for quite a few years now. I wanted to build my foundation, really learn the foundational skills to become a better adventure rider and overall rider.
Cool. Do you want to say anything about what made you choose to come out and do trials training?
I want to learn some new skills that will translate over to dirt biking.
Well, we have a small group today, which is great for us to have the student-teacher ratio thing. So let's get started.
Yeah.
Got it.
You said the tire pressure on these is like 4 or 5 pounds?
Yeah, we run about 5 pounds in the front and 4 pounds in the rear.
Okay, and these are special trials tires, so you don't run these kind of tires on a dirt bike?
Exactly. They're
Okay.
special, soft compound. They're made for very low pressure, you know, so they grip the rocks.
Okay.
And the rear is actually tubeless, and I believe it's a radial tire.
So what is this? I've never...
So when he bails...
Oh...
Sorry, dude, you gotta start your bike again.
Put my bike in gear now. Because these bikes are cold, the clutches are cold. When you first put it into gear, the clutch is going to drag. You might want to start to take off. You just got to be prepared for that. You can actually spin up the motor a little bit. Yeah, like that.
Oh.
Yeah, right?
Okay.
So, and then just let it warm up a little bit.
Okay, so starting out on a trials bike, what you do is you never sit down, right? There's no seat. So what you have to do is just kind of a lot different. You start out and you just start. It's a lot different. I can't find the shifter. The shifter's like way forward.
So, remember I told you guys, but so basically when you shift,
Yeah.
okay, you have to put all your weight on your right foot, and then so you can move and then grab the gear and then put your weight back.
That's what I was kind of
A little
figuring
bit of a weight
out.
transfer on the foot pegs.
And these have 5 gears or 6?
Yeah, or 6 even, I think.
But
yeah.
they're geared super low. So
The first 3 gears are really close.
yeah, they felt like that.
Yeah, and then the other 3 gears are longer. So
Okay.
once you get into the 4th or 5th or 6th, it's more wide open. But the first 3 gears are really close. So.
starting to get used to this trials bike. It's a whole different animal than a dirt bike or any other motorcycle that you may have ridden. There's no seat, the transmission feels different, the clutch feels different. It's just a whole different kind of bike. And so what you're doing is you're slow speed balancing. There's a lot of stuff to keep in mind too that you're trying to remember. One finger on the clutch, and it really teaches you like good clutch modulation. Also, I feel like my balancing is going to be so much better after I do this class.
Your arms a little bit, feel that peg pressure. Lean the bike left and right. Yeah, left foot, right foot. Get those knees out. Yeah, right knee out. So left hand turn, right knee out. Yeah, left hand turn, right knee out. Now stay forward. Stay forward, don't get back. Yep, stay forward. So yeah, left knee out. Left knee out hard. Left knee out hard. Yeah, kind of. All that weight should be on your left foot peg. Right? All that weight on that left foot peg.
There's a lot to pay attention to here. When you're turning left, you want all your weight on the right foot peg.
Hey, come over here.
So it's counterbalancing your weight.
So yeah, so just try to carry all the weight with your feet. Feel that peg pressure, left foot, right foot. Counterbalance, just real low RPM. Try not to slip the clutch too much, you know, and just kind of ride the bike. Don't abuse, like don't use the clutch as a crutch, you know. But yeah, cover the clutch, one finger. You know, they're all pretty responsive. So
Okay.
It takes, you can get pretty low. It takes a lot to stall it.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's why these 4-strokes are so friendly too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the 2-strokes, if you get them a little bit low, they start to chunk, you know, they start to, you know, but the 4-strokes are so smooth, and it's just amazing how slow you can ride them. Yeah, just putting, and that motor's just purring, just brrr, you know, and so.
So I was trying to explain this while I was talking to the camera, but like in a left turn, I've got all my weight on my right peg, trying to de-weight the left peg all the way, and have my right knee out, so I'm shifting my weight to the outside of the bike.
It's counterbalancing.
Okay.
So the more the bike goes this way, you go this way and counterbalance.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Counterbalance is just a fancy way of saying keeping your balance.
Okay.
It's all about keeping your balance. If you find yourself having a dab, if you find yourself losing your balance and having to put your foot down, you're not counterbalancing enough.
Okay.
So even on a dirt bike, you know, if you're going through turns, slow speed stuff, even on an adventure bike, if you're going through turns and you do what I call falling into it, and you keep on having to dab your foot, you're falling into it. Oh crap, oh crap. Well, you're not counterbalancing enough. You got to counterbalance, stay forward, get that weight over the front tire. You know, everybody knows if that front tire washes out, well, that you're gonna crash, you know? So get that upper body further forward, weight that front tire, you know? So anyways, y'all ready for this? Wheelie time. Wheelie for a purpose, not wheelie to show off, not wheelie to, you know, for your friends, you know, this is wheelie for a purpose. How to get over an object, okay? So you guys are just gonna circle around, and as you approach this object, okay, one thing we're talking about timing and the movements, okay? So a lot of people don't realize when you go to do a wheelie, your first movement is down, not pull up, not hit the gas and pull up. Your first movement is down to load the suspension. As that suspension is more or less getting to the bottom, and as it starts to rebound, that's when you pop up the front end. Use your legs. This is all about your legs. It's not about your arms, it's about your legs. Doing what we call the dipsy-do, okay? So you're riding, and you do the dipsy-do where you bend your knees and then kind of get stiff, and that's gonna allow the suspension to compress. Like I said, right when you do that dipsy-do, then you pull the bars to the chest. Don't just pull up, you pull the bars to your chest, so that way your upper body is further forward. So that way when the front tire goes over the object, you let off the gas and let it come back down, so you don't loop out, right? So dipsy-do, bars to the chest, up and over, and then let off the gas and let the front end come down. If the object that you're going over, if you kick it out, you're still on the gas when you're going over it. That's not good. So when we get to rocks, when that rear tire hits a rock, because there's a lot of traction, if you're still on the gas, that thing's gonna launch, right? Or it's gonna hook up, or you know, something, you know? So the whole point is to wheelie for a purpose, get the front tire over the object. As the front tire clears the object, let off the gas, let it drop, let the rear tire just roll right over it.
Another thing is the blip distance. What a lot of people don't explain is the blip distance. The blip distance is roughly the width of the front wheel, right? So as you're approaching the object, you need to pull it up roughly the width of the front wheel in front of the object. If you wait too long, you're gonna bonk into it. If you go too early, you run the risk of coming down on top of it, you know? So there's that magical blip distance when you gotta do your move. So one thing that helps me, when we first go, you guys just ride around and start to use your legs and get that suspension to move. Start feeling that suspension. Move it, get your rhythm, get your timing, get that feel for it, right? Bars to the chest, down. So use your legs as you're going down the hill, hit the front brake, kind of put some pressure on the handlebars, and that rear end will come right up. Yeah, use your legs, get that bounce.
So when you say bars to the chest, is that so that you don't get too much weight back and it doesn't...
so you can stay forward so you don't loop it out. Yeah. To do a bunny hop, as you're doing a wheelie over the obstacle, you use your legs, compress the rear suspension, and you got to do a weight transfer, right? So you get your front tire over the object, compress your suspension, kind of more or less like bunny hop at that point, right? And do the weight transfer and get the bike to bunny hop over the object.
Are you flipping anything with the throttle?
So, well, you got to do the wheelie first.
So in the wheelie,
the bunny hop. The way that I just explained it is almost a two-part process, where you get the front wheel up and then you get the rear tire to hop over.
Yeah.
That's one way of doing it. And then the old school bicycle way is just do it all in one motion.
Yeah.
Where you compress with your legs, get the bike to wheelie. Just after you wheelie, you take off, you know, you're using your legs and you're just bunny hopping. Yeah.
I think I understand, but I can't seem to do it. Oh, well.
Give it time, and again, so that's why I told you don't get frustrated.
Yeah.
You know, trials, sometimes you see somebody do it and you're like, oh, I want to do that, why can't I do that? Well, you know, because it takes time, you know, and getting that muscle memory and that feel, you know, and so yeah, when you do it right and it feels good, remember that feeling, and then the next time you go do it, try to duplicate that feeling. Most common climbing technique that you're going to use, whether it's dirt bikes or adventure bikes or whatever, is what's called the roll up. Okay? You're just rolling up and over the object. That's the simplest technique you can use. Then there's what's called a zap, when you get your front tire on the object and then you zap it. Okay? And then there's what's called a double blip. Again, you get your front tire on the object and you give it an extra little blip. The double blips are really good to be able to hold pressure and keep that front end high. So if you're going over an object but there's like a gap after the object and you want to keep that front end high, you would do the double blip. So that's another technique. And then the final technique would be like a splatter, right? A splatter. You know, the splatter is when you've got a big climb and then you do like a little tiny kicker at the beginning, right? So you hit the kicker and you actually catch air. As you catch air, you over-rotate and hit the back tire on the object, and your momentum just kind of sets you up on top. You know, that's called the splatter. So the splatter is obviously very advanced. You probably want to get your own bike when you go do splatters or whatnot, you know. But like I said, the most common technique is the roll-up. Okay, so you use that same technique that you use for the wheelie on the approach. And remember, like that blip distance, you gotta remember that, because if you wait too long, you're just gonna bonk into the object. So just before you get to the object, you wanna kind of initiate like that wheelie, right? As you're initiating the wheelie, you wanna hit the front tire about 3/4 of the way up. So as I'm approaching, I'm gonna do that little dipsy-do thing, right? And then as the front tire is gonna skip this, it's gonna go from here and then barely bonk it right there, and then it's gonna drive you high and then just drop it down. So again, so as you're going over the object, okay, here's the ground,
You know, you don't just bonk into it. Look at the Porsche club going by. Wheelie it, hit that front tire up, let that front tire hit. You gotta touch front. That'll drive it up high, and then you drop it down. When that rear tire climbs, you gotta soak it up with your legs, let that rear tire climb up the object. Sometimes what a lot of people will do is they wheelie too high, and they end up bonking the skid plate.
Oh.
They skid plate it. So let me just show you guys. I've said enough. So you're approaching, you gotta do the wheelie. Okay? So I didn't just run into it. And again, you have your momentum going. This climbs right up and over. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to skid plate it. Oh. So I wheelied too high and I didn't touch my front end on the way up. And then this is a zap right here. A double flip, which is very similar, but you should hear two different flips. So prop, prop. So double flips are really good for undercuts. When the rear tire can't just roll up, you gotta do it. You have an undercut. That's what double flips are really good for. So the rear tire just kind of hops up it. And then the splatter, you launch it. With the splatter, you launch it and then rotate and just hit the rear tire on the object. That's pretty good, pretty good.
I hit the skid plate that time.
Oh, so a little too late with the clutch, but that was very good.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know how to do that one really. I feel like I'll get my front up on it and then I'll freak out.
This is pretty advanced, you know, and then what do you do when you don't make it? You know, he's had a couple lucky ones where he's not, you know, remember, when in doubt, slow down. When in doubt, just put your feet out. When in doubt, slow down. Yeah, a little bit too high. Don't be doing that stuff, right? Lean that bike over, counterbalance. So that corner right there, you notice how, what happens to a lot of people when they're doing that left-hand turn, they get the rear tire stuck on the rock. You go like this. Oh man, I messed it up. Right? Whoa. Spin the rear tire a bit much. Yeah, keep it going, keep it going. And over here, keep it going, keep it going. Keep it going. All right.
Now we have to go up this boulder and then make a left turn. See, sometimes I forget to make the turn. Now we have to go up this boulder and make a left turn. See, sometimes I forget to make the turn.
But everything's the same, it's just the opposite. So you got to think about it that way. When you start brushing your teeth with your left hand, everything's the same, it's just the opposite. So you got to hold your toothbrush the same as you hold it with your right hand, just hold it with your left hand. So just about everything I do both ways.
I never thought about that.
Everything I do both ways. When I was a little kid, my teacher told me, if you do everything with your right hand, you're only going to work out the left side of your brain. And I'm like, man, I don't want the left side of my brain to be bigger than the right side of my brain. So I started to try to do everything the opposite way, and I learned that everything's the same, it's just the opposite. So instead of throwing a baseball right-handed, you throw a baseball left-handed.
You guys liking the class so far?
So far, so good.
Yeah. You're doing really
Learning
good.
some stuff.
You must be like a dirt bike guy.
You know, a little bit.
Yeah. How are you liking the class so far?
It's going great. It's definitely a learning experience.
So I'll tell you, so far checking in after the first hour or two, man, this is tough. This is a really good cardio workout, a really good balance skill, learning how to control a bike in ways that you never learned before. So this is pretty amazing. So so we're having a little lunch break back here under the shade, and about most of the way through the training. Really, God, what an amazing experience this is. This is one of the best things I've ever done on a motorcycle. It just gets you out of your comfort zone. You learn how to control a bike in situations and go over terrain that you just wouldn't think possible. And the trials bike is the way to learn that balance, clutch control, counterweighting, because these bikes, I mean, look at these tires. They grip like Velcro to rocks and dirt, and it just allows you a way to learn motorcycle control that you wouldn't get on even a dirt bike. So I'm going to talk to Andre at the end, and we're going to interview him, kind of talk about it, because he's such a pro at this. But gosh, I'm just having a total blast, learning a lot, pushing myself. This is hard, it's hard, but it's not dangerous. No one's getting hurt. You're not going to get hurt. You're not going fast. It's all slow speed control. And if you mess up, you just put your foot down. The ground's really, really close. It's not a big, heavy adventure bike that you're tipping over. So man, this is amazing. So what are you guys thinking about the, we've been training for 3 or 4 hours. Are you learning a lot? How are things going? What are some takeaways that you have?
Yeah, I'm feeling the way that you should after you're doing a day of any training. I'm going over it in my head, feeling a little bit tired, and just trying to make the connections with what I've learned all my life of riding to what I'm learning today and what I need to replace as a good foundation.
Thinking about how I can apply it in, everywhere else. There's a lot of techniques, and trying to imagine the different scenarios that, going to use this stuff. I don't know that I'm going to be a trials rider. I'm not going to take up trials riding, but for dirt biking, just how to apply it to dirt biking and different scenarios where I can use it. But it's really good. Yeah.
Me and the 2 other guys here, we're not really looking to become expert trials riders. Of course, I don't want to speak for them, but really the way that these skills translate to all other aspects of motorcycling that we're into, whether it's dual sport, dirt biking, adventure riding, street riding, even mountain biking. I mean, it's just incredible cross training. So we'll wrap this up later, but man, this is just really fun. Yeah.
Don't pull.
And I feel like I just must have bad clutch control, but I feel like it's kind of jumpy when I use the clutch. That's just me, I think, right? Because
Probably just getting used to this bike having torque like you've never had before in your life.
yeah, I feel like I'm a little bit jumpy with the clutch, but so I'm trying to use it less. But
so your friction zone, like,
it's real small.
Yeah,
that's what I'm feeling.
Yeah, the play and the lever, like just a little bit, like makes a huge.
Yeah, I'm not used to that part.
On a GS, your the movement of the levers more.
It's way different. That's
bigger levers, and
okay.
The clutches, like these clutches are really. If you notice how narrow these motors are.
Yeah.
This one only has like I think 3 or 4 clutch plates.
Now,
I would come down from over here. He came down from over here just now.
Oh yeah.
So this is a straight line. Help.
Going off a cliff, that's no problem. Okay, that looks normal. Everything's fine. It's fine.
We had the climbs. Do you remember, guys, the climbing techniques? The roll up, the zap, double blip, the splatter. Of course, we didn't really do the splatters. That's when you get your own bike for that. But the roll up.
I almost splattered myself.
I don't want to hear that. But yeah, the roll up is the most common technique, and same concept applies to a dirt bike, and then even more so to an adventure bike. So now you guys can go out and practice that stuff on your own, you know. We did some nice trail rides. We went and found the Lost Cherokee. We went underneath the bridge. You know, trail rides are a lot of fun on the trials bikes because even the most technical dirt bike trail is easy on a trials bike. We're going up the sand cliffs, you know, going through the sand wash, going through some of those rocks, and there's some narrow passages we're just kind of creeping through. Super fun, you know. What else? What was the most fun part for you guys so far?
Just, I feel like I didn't think I would be able to do stuff like that on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
But it just does.
The capabilities. These bikes have almost no limitations. With the right rider, these bikes can do some amazing things. We're the limitation.
Exactly.
You know, and so once you know these techniques, it's pretty amazing what you can do on these bikes. Get your speed where you can. You know, get your speed in the flats. Get your speed and momentum, you know, in the flats. Don't wait till you're on the hill.
Yeah.
As off-road riders, we have a code of conduct called Tread Lightly. And Tread Lightly is just like, you know, low impact on the environment. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Tread Lightly.
Yeah.
And so what happens is a lot of the times these moto guys will go out to, you know, a riding area and they rely on horsepower to get up the hill. But when they do that, they dig a big old trench up the side of the hill. So, you know, oh man, I just dug a big old trench. Well, when it rains, you know, now that's a canyon, you know, or a washout or whatnot, you know, and it becomes dangerous. And so they have to close down that trail. And that's how we lose our trails, you know, and because people don't know how to ride, right? So if people used momentum and technique to get up to the top of these hills, well, it would preserve, you know, our trails and you know, better for everybody, and you know, not going to be closing down our trails. So think about using those tricks of momentum. Also, a lot of the times when we ride off-road, a lot of trails are on like a ridgeback, and so you're trying to climb up a hill, but then you got to peel off, you know, to one side or the other. You don't want to just go straight over. You know, you got to peel off to one side or the other. And that's some of these techniques that we do in trials helps teach you that stuff too. How to get up to the top of the hill using momentum. You know, that way when you're getting up to the top, you're actually rolling off the throttle because you have plenty of momentum. You know, you're not trying to grab more throttle, you're actually rolling off the gas.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do, trying to roll down throttle.
Yeah.
As I got to the top.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Front. Too high.
So this is the trials helmet, so it's open face, you know. So I'm using the dirt bike helmet because of my camera setup. All right, so could you tell us kind of who you are and then start by telling us a little bit about MotoVentures?
Sure, I'm Andre LaPlante. I run a company called MotoVentures Motorcycle Training. We do any kind of off-road training. We teach motorcycle riders how to ride motorcycles using dirt bikes.
And what other kind of training, what are the different kinds of training that you offer? So today we did trials bikes, but what other stuff do you guys have?
Yeah, anything from pure beginners, you know, kids and, you know, pure beginners that have never ridden a motorcycle before, adventure bike riders, dual sport riders, get a lot of street bike riders, of course, trials, basically anything two wheels.
And I've seen your logo, it says like dirt first. Can you tell us about what that means?
Yeah, that's our motto, you know, dirt first. We feel that if you learn to ride in the dirt, not only will you learn safer, you'll learn quicker and you'll become a better rider. So even for street bike riders, if you're thinking about getting your street bike license, come out to the dirt first and learn how to ride in the dirt first.
Okay. So the stuff we did today on trials bikes, you know, we were talking a lot about how can we translate these skills into trail riding, adventure riding, dual sport riding, like, and why would somebody, even if they're not going to become a trials rider, why would somebody really want to do this? How is it going to improve their other riding?
Trials bike is, gosh, it's almost like a big bicycle. You know, it's like a mountain bike with a motor. You know, so it's not as scary to learn on. You know, it's lightweight. We learn at really low speeds, you know, so the chances of getting hurt are a lot less. And as far as honing in on your skills and really progressing, it's the best way to make improvements. We find, you know, people's learning curve will be a lot faster, you know, when you go down a level, when you go down a size, you know, rather than trying to learn on a, you know, big heavy bike, we go down a size.
Cool. Well, do you want to tell us anything about this bike you're standing in front of here? It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, this is a Gas Trials bike. I believe it's a 2022 version. It's a 300cc two-stroke. It's one of their top of the line models. It's called the GP version, and it's basically the top of the line trials bike, you know, competition model. Very lightweight, very responsive. You know, these things, they retail for, I want to say about $9,000, you know, plus tax and license and all that stuff, of course. So about the same cost as a regular dirt bike.
So what's the best way for somebody to learn more about your company and your training?
A couple things, you know, go to the website, MotoVentures.com. Of course, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook. You know, we're on social media. Instagram is MotoVentures Dirt First. Facebook is just MotoVentures. And, you know, look us up and, of course, call or email if you have any questions.
This has been an amazing day. Thank you so much, Andre, for taking time to help me make this video and training us out here and allowing me to come to this course. It's been amazing.
Yeah, it's been great riding with you. We got a lot done today, and we saw a lot of improvement, so good job.
Wow, I am beat and I am starving. I'm so looking forward to getting a shower and getting some food. So as I was driving home in the truck and I just got home, I was thinking of, there's really three main things, or 3 points I want to make to sort of wrap this up. The first thing is, I think it's so important for us as riders to get out of our comfort zone. And the reason for that is, if you want to grow as a rider, if that's something you care about whatsoever, then I think it's so easy for us to get into our habits of what we normally do, the types of bikes we normally ride, the types of roads we normally go on, the terrain, if you're an off-road rider. It's easy to get into a niche of your aspect of riding and oftentimes not improve because no one's really coaching you on how to do something. Also, going out of your comfort zone and doing a genre of riding that you're not, just something that you've never done before, you're not comfortable with, that is an incredible way to not only learn all the various aspects that make motorcycling amazing and expose yourself to more stuff, but to also improve the type of riding that you care most about. So that's number one. I think it's really important and really valuable to push yourself a little bit to get out of your comfort zone and do stuff that you're not familiar with. And of course, the best way to do that is to get professional training if you can. The second point is sort of, what are the lessons, what are the main things that I learned from taking this trials bike class? So we talked about the comfort zone thing already, doing something you're not comfortable with. I think in terms of actual motorcycle skills, it's clutch control, clutch modulation, it's brake control, it's balancing the bike at super low speeds or even balancing at a standstill, which can apply to any kind of motorcycle you ride. It's counterweighting the pegs and counterbalancing. So counterbalancing is huge. So that means moving your weight away from the corner to the outside of the corner when you're leaning the bike over so that you can control a motorcycle at super low speeds. And you've seen this done in videos, you know, with the police training videos or certain off-road riders, but it can be applied to anything at low speeds. It's an amazing, amazing skill to learn. But the trials bike allows you to explore those types of things in a safe way at a low speed and in very good control. The third thing is, so who should take a trials bike course? So this is not something you want to do as your first off-road motorcycle experience. So if you've never ridden off-road riding, the first thing to do is get some sort of off-road or dirt bike training to begin with. And if you're somebody, I know a lot of people who watch my channel are getting into adventure biking or are already doing adventure riding. I really think that if you want to do adventure riding or any sort of off-road stuff, you really need to start on dirt bikes or smaller bikes and work your way up. So who's the trials riding for? I think the trials riding is for anybody who does any off-road riding at all and has a little bit of off-road experience, even a little bit is enough, and wants to greatly and dramatically improve in the fastest way possible your off-road bike handling skills. So I really think that's who trials riding is for. So whether you want to do dual sport, trail riding, motocross riding, enduro riding, adventure riding, whatever it is, anything in the dirt, trials riding is something that you should be looking into as a way to improve your riding. And it's just really darn good fun. It's so much fun, and it's a really good cardio workout too, so that's a benefit as well. So I'm going to wrap this video up here. I really appreciate all of you watching. If you have questions, comments, anything, put them down below, and let me know, what are your plans to get out of your comfort zone in 2023? As for me, I did this class. I'm doing a Supermoto school. I'm doing a Superbike class at the California Superbike School. I'm doing a motocross class, so I am really going to hit everything this year because I just want to be a more well-rounded rider, to have better confidence. So when I jump on any motorcycle, I just have better confidence. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was enjoyable and informative. If it was, please support Big Rock Moto. There's ways to do that in the video description and comments below. Other than that, please ride safe, and I'll see you out there.